My wife sold the last memory of my dad. I've always been a pretty simple man. I grew up on a farm over in rural Georgia, learned the value of hard work at a young age, and cherished the simple pleasures life had to offer. It was my father who instilled those values in me. He was my role model, my mentor, and my best friend. The days we spent working the fields, fixing the tractors, or even just sitting on the porch watching the sunset were the best days of my life. My dad passed away when I was 20. It was sudden, a heart attack, they said. One minute we were laughing, sharing a cold beer after a long day of work. The next minute he was gone. I've never been quite the same since. I inherited the farm and his old pickup truck, a 1965 Ford F-100. It was rusted and worn, a testament to the years of service it had seen, but to me, it was the last memory of my father, a physical manifestation of his spirit. I'd always had a dream of restoring that truck. I pictured us, my father and me, cruising down the back roads, a cloud of dust trailing behind us as the sun set on the horizon. I knew it was a pipe dream, that he was gone, but it was a dream I clung to nonetheless. Fast forward a few years, and I met Rebecca. She was everything I never knew I needed. Beautiful, funny, compassionate, and she understood the deep loss I felt. We got married, and life was good. Except for one thing, Rebecca didn't see the value in holding on to things that weren't useful. Several times she'd sold things without asking me first. It was never anything significant, a few old tools here, some worn-out boots there. But we talked about it, I explained how it upset me, and things seemed to get better. One day, after a long day of work, I came home to an empty spot in the barn where the truck had been. Panic flooded through me as I sprinted into the house, shouting for Rebecca. I found her in the kitchen, making dinner like any other day. "Where's Dad's truck?" I demanded, my voice shaking with anger and fear. She finally turned to look at me, her green eyes soft but unyielding. "I sold it, Robert. I sold the truck." My mind stumbled as it tried to grapple with her words. "You did what?" I echoed, the three simple words echoing in the hollow silence that had filled our home. She pushed a lock of hair behind her ear, a nervous gesture that I had come to recognize. "I sold the truck," she repeated, more firmly this time. "It's not like you were ever going to fix it anyway." My heart pounded in my chest like a drum. I could feel the blood draining from my face as I tried to comprehend what she had just confessed. The truck, my father's truck, was gone, sold off like a piece of old, forgotten junk. $2,000, she added, as if that number would somehow make it all better. We needed the money. I could hardly breathe. It was as if the walls of our house were closing in on me. I thought back to the countless hours my father and I had spent in that truck, the laughter we'd shared, the stories he'd told. All those memories erased, gone, just like that. I felt a rage bubbling up inside me, a mixture of disbelief and betrayal. The room spun as my emotions crashed over me like a tidal wave. "You sold my father's truck," I growled, my voice barely above a whisper. "You sold it without even asking me." There was a profound silence as we both stood there, staring at each other. She looked taken back by my reaction, her eyes wide and filled with regret. But it was too late for regret, too late for apologies. The betrayal was like a physical blow, leaving me feeling empty and devastated. My father's truck was more than just a vehicle. It was a part of him, a part of me, a tangible link to the man who had meant so much to me. And Rebecca had sold it, dismissing it as nothing more than a source of extra cash. In that moment, it felt as though our relationship had been irreversibly damaged. The trust, the understanding that we built up over the years had been shattered. All because of a truck, my father's truck. I spent the weekend alone, wallowing in my grief and anger. I realized that I hadn't been fair to Rebecca, that I had held onto my grief and my past so tightly that I had pushed her away. But at the same time, she had not respected something that was vitally important to me, a piece of my history, my family, my identity. We both needed to make amends, but I didn't know how to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. Sunday night, I found myself sitting on the porch, staring at the empty space where the truck used to be. I felt an odd mix of anger and regret, a heart-wrenching longing for something irretrievably lost. I wasn't sure how long I sat there before I saw the lights of a car coming down the road. My heart leapt into my throat as I recognized the familiar rumble of a powerful engine. As it pulled into the driveway, I saw it, the old Ford, as battered and rusty as ever. Rebecca stepped out, her eyes red-rimmed and her face pale. She'd been crying. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. I just stared at her, at the truck, completely stunned. I went back," she said, her voice shaking. "I found the guy who bought it. I explained. He sold it back to me." I couldn't believe it. My anger, my hurt, seemed to fade away in that moment, replaced with a profound relief. I walked over to her, pulled her into my arms, and held her. I felt her tears soaking my shirt, but I didn't mind. We were both at fault, and we both had apologies to make. As the sun began to rise, we sat there on the tailgate of that old truck, sharing our regrets, our apologies, our hopes for the future. It was then that I understood the truck wasn't just a memory of my father. It was a symbol of my refusal to move on, my stubbornness to let go of the past. And Rebecca, despite her mistake, had been the one to help me see that. She had come back, not just with the truck, but with a willingness to understand, to empathize. She admitted she had been wrong to sell the truck without my permission, but she also helped me see that my fixation on the past had affected our relationship. From that day forward, we made a pact. I would start living in the present, cherishing the memories of my father but not letting them hold me back. and Rebecca promised to respect the importance of those memories, to not dismiss them as just old, useless things. The old fort is still sitting in the barn, a testament to the lessons we learned that day. I may never restore it to its former glory, but it will forever be a reminder of the journey Rebecca and I took, a journey that brought us closer, made us stronger. In the end, that old truck did bring my father and me closer, just not in the way I had envisioned. It wasn't about cruising down the back roads or reliving old memories. It was about accepting the past, embracing the present, and looking forward to the future. And for that, I'll forever be grateful. Dang, I'm glad they got it back. Maybe I am just a sentimental guy, but yeah, that one hurt for a bit. What do you think? When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.